You are going to love these air fryer steak bites. They are so incredibly delicious and almost impossible to mess up. I'm Justin from Cooking with Coit. I specialize in clean comfort cooking. And remember, if you love this video, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Let's get started. Let's first go over all the ingredients you need to make this recipe. Steak, I really like ribeye or New York strip, garlic, ginger, soy sauce, toasted sesame oil, rice vinegar, and honey. And the one piece of special cooking equipment you're gonna need for this recipe is an air fryer. Hey guys, I am so excited to show you this one today. So this recipe is really perfect for somebody who has never cooked steak before in their entire life. Maybe it's somebody who's afraid of cooking steak, afraid they're gonna mess it up. Whatever the case may be, this is such a great recipe for you because you really can't mess this up. The only way you can mess this up is by severely overcooking the steak. So as long as you don't do that, you should be totally fine. So the first step in this recipe is going to be cutting our steak into steak bites. One quick note about my steak choice today. I went with a ribeye because I love all of that sort of marbling, all that fat content in this steak. I think it makes for a very delicious air fryer steak bites. You could also use a couple different options. You could use a New York strip. That's gonna work great too. And if you really wanna up your game, you could use filet mignon. Filet, is so tender and so delicious. That could be a really good choice, but it's gonna be pricey. So kind of depends on how much you wanna spend. But let's get into it. First, we're gonna cut this steak into bites. I'm also gonna trim a little bit of the excess fat, off of the outside of it. I'm gonna try to retain as much of the fat on the inside as possible. The size of the bites that we're looking for here are pretty much like, 1.5 inch cubes. You don't want to cut it too small or you're going to very easily overcook it. You don't want to cut it too big unless you really like a rare steak because it's going to take longer to cook. So just try to find that middle ground. Now I want you to transfer your steak pieces into a medium or large mixing bowl, and then we're going to add 1/3 cup of soy sauce. I'm using Tamari here. This is a gluten-free soy sauce, which tastes exactly the same to me as regular soy sauce, so I'm gonna use that because I like to be gluten-free when I can. Now we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, and this is toasted sesame oil, which has a richer flavor than non-toasted. We're also gonna add 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar and 1/4 cup of honey. The honey is gonna give this marinade a really fantastic bit of sweetness, which I think is essential to this recipe, so try to keep it if you can. Other recipes that I saw online, they ask for sugar, which is fine. You can use sugar if you want to, but I think in this instance, using something that's a little healthier and more natural like honey is better. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grate 1 teaspoon of ginger. I've already gone ahead and peeled all of the skin off the ginger. I did that with just sort of using a knife and cutting it down each side. And you don't have to measure this perfectly. You're not going to be able to if you go right into the bowl anyway. And it doesn't really matter. Even if you put a little bit more ginger in there, it's gonna be fantastic. Now you might be wondering why I chose not to mince the ginger and instead to grate it. The reason for that choice is that when you grate something like garlic or ginger, you're essentially emulsifying it and you're bringing out all of that great flavor and the oils inside of the ginger or garlic, and it just imparts so much more flavor than if you were just to mince it. So I highly suggest you grate for this recipe. And then one other tip here is once you kind of reach to the very end of the ginger, you don't have to throw it away. You could just toss it in the bowl. It's gonna be fantastic in the marinade, so just toss it in. Now we're gonna move on to our 5 cloves of garlic. And again, we're just gonna be grating this garlic, which is really easy, and it's just gonna be giving a ton of flavor into this steak. And right when you get to the end, just like for the ginger, just toss the whole thing in and move on to the next clove. And every once in a while, if you're not seeing anything fall into the bowl, just give it a little bit of a, there you go, and the rest will fall in. Making this recipe gives you a serious case of like the garlic and ginger fingers. I would love to know from you guys, do you like when your fingers smell like garlic and ginger, or do you hate it? I actually don't mind it. It's kind of nice, like later on, you can kind of smell your fingers and you know what you cooked that day and it just smells good to me, but let me know in the comments below. Now that we've got all of our ingredients in this bowl, let's just give it a nice big toss and mix so everything is very well combined. Oh my gosh, this smells incredible. And if it smells good when everything is raw, you're on the right track. Just move it all around, try to get it all mixed and combined really well. And then all we're gonna do, we're gonna cover this. We can toss it in the refrigerator for anywhere between 30 minutes to overnight. Maybe 30 minutes to 5 hours is better. If it over marinades, it might break down the meat a little bit and be weird. So I'd say 30 minutes to 5 hours for the marinade and just let it sit, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, guys, so our steak has been marinating for just about an hour now, and that's about as much time as I can give it today. So I'm gonna now put the steak into my air fryer basket. One very, very important thing that you need to remember, and one thing you should not do here, is just to empty the entire contents of this bowl into your air fryer basket. Do not do that. And the reason for that is that you don't wanna take all of the liquids with the steak, because all the liquid would then just sort of pile up at the bottom of the air fryer basket, and it's going to create a lot of smoke as it's cooking, so don't do that. Instead, just grab out each piece of steak one at a time, or two at a time, and just drop it into the air fryer basket. There's no need to spray the air fryer basket with olive oil this time around. You don't need to, it's not gonna stick. And if you can, try to give the pieces of steak a little bit of room between each other. And this is gonna help the steak get nice and crispy on the outside as it's cooking. Okay. Now we're gonna pop this air fryer basket into the air fryer. And we are gonna set our temperature to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're gonna set the time to 6 minutes. Now, depending on the size of the steak pieces that you cut, the thicker the steak piece, the longer you're gonna need to cook. But I suggest you start at 6 minutes, as long as you haven't cut the pieces too small. And then basically at the end of the 6 minutes, let's take it out, cut into one of the pieces, see how done it is inside. If that's what you like, if it's like a medium rare, medium, then good to go. If you want it more well done, you can always cook it for longer. All right, guys, so the 6 minute timer just finished, but I also added one more minute, so it was a 7 minute timer, and let's see how we did. Whoa, look at how incredible this steak comes out. It's almost so amazing that you wouldn't think you'd be able to cook it this well in an air fryer, but you absolutely can. These air fryer steak bites look so incredibly delicious. I cannot wait to give them a try. But before I do, if you love this recipe and you wanna see more just like it, check out my air fryer recipes playlist. Okay, let's give them a try. All right, so the way I love to plate these air fryer steak bites is with a bed of white rice underneath them. This is jasmine rice. And then I like to add a little bit of a sliced green onion. And finally, I like to add a little sprinkle of sesame seeds. These air fryer steak bites are so incredibly delicious. And because we're doing it in the air fryer, it's so easy, it's so fast. There is no good reason not to try this. I really hope you do. I'll see you in the next video.